What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Coach Joe Strong, here with another awesome episode of the Business of Strength podcast, where you can hear the tips, tools, and interviews to turn your passion for strength into a profitable business you will love and be proud of. Just a reminder, September 18th and 19th, the Gym Business Retreat of the Year is happening in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. The Business of Strength is taking the show on the road each year. We head out to some amazing location. The last couple of years, we've been in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. This year's retreat is all about employee development, everything you need, the blueprint for building your A team of coaches, staff members, and business people within your company. We're going to give you the playbook on how to hire, how to onboard, how to develop, how to pay, how to lead, right? How to run great meetings. We're going to give you all the things that we have, and we've invited some of our amazing friends who are super entrepreneurs in the gym space who have multiple gyms. Our good friend Mark Ennis from Power Strength, right? Our good friend Scott Carpenter is going to be a guest speaker. Plus, our Gym of the Year awards with some of our great mastermind members who have transformed their businesses, opened up multiple locations, and you get to learn, network, and discover the ins and outs of what they did and what it takes to really build a great team. That's September 18th and 19th. Go to bosretreat.com. It'll be the best couple $100 you've spent on your business this year. I guarantee it. Speaking of such, we have one of those Gym of the Year nominees on the call with us today. Our good friend Joel Tellier from Stay Gold in Toronto, Canada. Joel, thanks for taking the time to come on and chat a little bit with us about your story, your journey, and how we got to where we're at today from a true rags to riches story.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. That's setting me up. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So I got to tell the story from my Jersey perspective, right? And kind of like, I love Joel. I love Joel to give his side, but I'll tell you, like, Joel was really a case. Joel came out here a few years ago now with a bunch of people. He came out with a whole team. He had like 15 partners or some shit at the time. He had literally, I think he had 6 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
There was like
it's
it
10.
was like 10 partners
Yeah,
in a business, which if you're listening to this, I probably don't have to tell you that that's a real tough thing to succeed with because there's just not enough. There's not enough money unless that's a $1 billion company. There's not enough money to go around for everybody, especially in the gym game. And so Joel and his team came down here to one of our 2-day business of strength workshops, and it was very obvious that there was disjointed ideologies, that there were disjointed duties and responsibilities, and the workload was completely imbalanced, and that there were one or two people who really wanted to grow a business, build a brand, build a culture, and then there was a bunch of people that were just looking for either paychecks or just kind of want to do their own thing, which is not necessarily wrong. They just weren't meant to be part of a bigger vision and team and process. And there was a lot of like little nuances. I'm not gonna like get into the weeds of like some of the internal stuff that was going on with Joel's business, but when they left, literally closing the door, Dan and I were like, well, they're fucked. Right. And like that gym's a disaster, right? And slowly but surely, Joel kept calling and kind of took a couple calls with Dan and myself. And then obviously we joined our private consulting group, the Strongest Year Project, our SYP group. And here we are, I think 4 years now later, right?
yeah, three and a bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
three and
three
a
and a
bit.
bit, right? We're
Yeah,
almost four because I think you came, it was like sometime like summer that you came out. So it'd be like three and a
yeah.
half years. And the business that we were talking about is thriving and crushing it and turning out a really great profit and doing well. And Joel just opened up his second location, which is already in the black and turning a profit and doing well. Joel, how the fuck did we get there? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up some dark days, Joe. Like, honestly, that was it was tough, but I straight up, I got PTSD from the stress around that time, and it's real. Um, yeah, tough to think about in a positive light. Aside from the fact that we were able to um, meet with you guys, and I did a lot of listening, obviously, like contribute to the group in the calls and the seminars, but a lot of it was just like hearing and absorbing and trying to digest and then figure out how to apply your methodologies or and your vision for what could be possible for my brand and gym um, in a way that just worked for us because we're quite different. We're up here in Toronto, Canada, and the culture is a little bit different up here, and it's really weird. It's we're not that far away physically, but culturally, there's quite a difference when in the
Sure.
gym community.
Sure. And speak to me a little bit about that, right? So like, your gym is, if you check out Stay Gold, it's kind of unique, and kind of like one of your, like, I don't know, let's call it mantras, is that, uh, you said that Stay Gold was created for the outsiders, and it's kind of like something that you've said to me a bunch of times, and you want it to be this unique kind of quirky, space for a variety of people. Explain to me exactly what that is, what products and services you offer, and what really makes Stay Gold unique, in its space.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Um, okay. Stay Gold started it became it was designed basically for me, and I was a an athlete but also an artist, a creative. I worked in multiple industries. I just liked kind of doing everything, getting my hands dirty in all kinds of different ways, but I was also in the creative side and this sort of sport athletic side, which is odd to see that crossover. So I didn't really feel like I belonged in some other places. I was very good at things physically, and then also kind of like really into design and art, and both those communities they're not mutually exclusive, but there's yeah, the overlap is slim, and so yeah, so I didn't feel like I really belonged in some other places, and so I decided to create a space that of my own for people like me, people that are maybe on the edge of the fringe of fitness, where they want to be involved, but again don't feel like they belong, or maybe we're just less encouraged to be in the fitness space.
Right.
And my thought was,
And when you say, I don't mean to interrupt, but
yeah,
when you say like
go ahead,
don't
go
want to
ahead.
be involved, you're talking about like, because there's a lot of people out there that maybe see a CrossFit gym and they're like, that's too hardcore, that's too intense, like I'm gonna get hurt, I can't do that. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
not, you're not an old man and neither am I, but we're not like 22
Yeah.
anymore, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, all
Yeah.
right, so doing 50 snatches in a row into box jumps, I might not be able to walk for 3 days. And then there's the other model. Again, it's this big box gym where you got like rows and seas of equipment and people filming themselves and stuff. And, the average person looks at that and they're like, I don't know how to use any of this shit. And this is kind of intimidating. So it's,
Yeah.
you
It
kind
was
of filled
both
that
those
middle
things,
space. Yeah.
but also kind of everything else as well. So we looked at all the different areas that people were kind of on the fringe of, whether it's intimidation because of gender, sexuality, sexual orientation, or just again, yeah, I don't know how to do that thing, or I want to train, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not a. I don't want to be a meathead, and nothing wrong with meatheads because like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's a totally like valid lifestyle to a degree, But
Aspiration, a valid
yeah,
aspiration.
yeah.
It's
I mean, and it's kind of funny because like yeah, I was certainly on
been
the
my
more
life's work.
performance. Yeah, exactly. Right. I know what you mean. But I was on the more performance side and really
Hmm.
trying to push things. But I knew that there's other people that are not that they don't want to push things. It's just like it's going to be a different approach and maybe a
Sure.
softer approach, and that's where we kind of like looked at all these different buckets that people might fit into that are just outside of the mainstream, the boxes of the CrossFit or whatever it is, and yeah, we tried to create a space that was just friendly, approachable, no intimidation. Really, like yeah, we might be working hard, but we're more about not more about we're just as equally about being good people, decent people, and having great conversations. So community was huge for us,
Yeah.
building like camaraderie and sharing in these this
And
hard work.
to give some context, like, talk about some of the products that you guys have. You guys have open gym, you do have class-based
Yeah,
programs, you do have
yeah.
personal training, so it's kind of a variety of fitness
Yeah, so
options.
that was the other side of it. It was flexibility. So my problem was I was always being pushed to middle of the day or late at night to train because I was trying to push for the more competitive side of things. So these regular fitness spaces, these class orientated gyms didn't have room for me. So we created an open gym space. We have a 24/7 dedicated open gym space where you can come in, do whatever you want to do. So whatever discipline you're into, if you can either follow our programming or you have a remote coach or you're programming for yourself. And just that flexibility of having time and space that didn't exist in Toronto. Really, there was like maybe one other space that had that on the other side of town. So that was a huge bucket for us. And then later we sort of looked into adding a class program that had that same kind of small group personal training, which is very similar to what you guys do
Yeah.
down there, and certainly modeled after that. But looking at an 8-person max class size, make sure we're getting like personal attention, making sure community and connections and growth in a safe way was happening, quality over quantity. It is a little bit of a tough thing to, like you see these Barry's boot camps or F45 and got 40 people in a class. You're like, wow, they're making a lot of money in that class. And my eight
Yeah.
person class is a little different. You'll never truly make up that gap, but I feel better about the product we're producing, and
Yeah,
that
you,
goes a long
you
way.
guys are, and again, I know, I personally know you and your background, so you wanted to put a real strength training product out, not just not just another, you know, boot camp, cheerleader in the front of the class with a headset bouncing around, like doing that. You wanted to have, like, I want a real training program with progressions and regressions. I want people to be focused around their strength training and goal achievement, right? I want a goal orientated program, and that, again, like coming from a similar background with similar ideologies, no matter what we become at Varsity House, we never wanted to lose sight of that. Like, and when somebody asked me, "What do you do?" I was like, "We're the best strength training gym in the Northeast. That's our goal." When people come here, they come here to hire a great coach and be taught how to strength train, and we help them program, periodize, and achieve goals within the realm of strength training. And then we could build that pyramid from there to all whatever other aspects of their fitness they want to start working on at later times. But it all starts with getting a little stronger, learning how to train. Obviously, it's like a skill like anything else. It's like, if you don't know how to skateboard, skateboarding is a skill, right? You got to learn how to skateboard. Well, weight training is a skill. You got to learn how to skill. You got to learn the skill. And then we could add on a bunch of shit as we go. What was rock bottom though, Joel? Obviously you guys decided to come here. So there was a point where you guys were starting to get, like, there was some frustration building up. What was the tipping point and what was rock
Uh,
bottom? And when did you say to yourself, or your team of people that you brought here was like, yo, we got to get some fucking help on this. We got to get some eyes on this business.
well, we were pretty, we were kind of riding the bottom for quite a long time, just scraping by. Just like I think some of the numbers are, I think we were making, I don't know, we made less than 10 grand a month, and our bills were more than 10 grand a month. So we were just losing
So
money
you
every
were
month.
actually, so physically when you came here, I do remember you were actually
Yeah,
losing money when you came.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Not like a ton, like enough to barely, I was putting my own money into the space, and it was, yeah, we were just riding a slow, I don't know, slow, just burning at both
Slow
ends,
death. Yeah.
working,
Yeah.
yeah, working as hard as we could, but not without any focus, without any true goals, true understanding of and no leadership. That was
Hmm.
kind of a big part of the problem. But yeah, so rock bottom was, we came out of COVID. We actually opened our new location. We were like, oh, this is great. We're gonna, this is where we want to be. Found a great spot, and we opened. And a month later, COVID, and we were shut down. And Canada was different
Mm.
than the U.S. Canada, we were shut down. Like fitness
Heavy duty.
in
Yeah.
Canada was more than any other industry, oddly enough. So yeah, but 2 years sitting there, just like walking to, I would walk in the door of my own gym, empty. It sounds like a dream. It was the saddest, most depressing time, just like sitting there looking at this empty space that was designed to build community, and we weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
It's so hard to see that, and we all went through different versions of that, but it was pretty tough. And then, but I just, the way I am is put my head down to start building things, just, pour in some concrete, built a sauna on an old horse trailer, start building, like, with the anticipation that we were going to get out of that. And then, yeah, so we opened back up, and we were like, okay, well, things got to change. We can't sit here on this, losing a trajectory. So I don't even know how we afford it. I don't know how we afforded to kind of start working with you guys. Obviously, like, we went to the retreat, and then we decided we either close or
We
we
get
give
some
this a
help.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you guys even find us? Like, what was the connection to us?
Well, yeah, it's funny. So I've been a guy we ended up hiring after that, but we have a guy named Tony that works for us. He mentioned that his friend Tony in Windsor was
Oh, Smith.
working
Yeah,
with you
yeah,
guys, Tony Smith. Yeah,
yeah, yep.
exactly. And so had a little call with him, and then we started talking
Oh,
again.
okay. All right.
We
Awesome.
have a
Yeah.
lot of
So,
Tonys. My dog's also
yeah,
named Tony.
yeah.
There's like
Yeah, I
Tonys
mean, you're
everywhere.
talking to Joe from Jersey. It's either you're
Yeah,
Joe,
right.
you're
Tony.
Tony,
Yeah.
a couple Anthony and Tonys. Well, that's amazing. And what were some of the key? Obviously, if you look back at what was as a business owner now who's turned it around, if you were going to give advice to some passionate gym people who are thinking about opening up their own gym, what were some of the mistakes that you made, specific mistakes, and what would you advise those people?
It's tough. I mean, my first thing would be don't do it. Not only because I've been through the rough stuff, and I think we both have, Joe.
Yeah,
We know that, and like you got to really want it, and I wanted it. I didn't realize how much until it was a few years in, and like, oh no, this is everything. This is my heart's in this completely. Even though it's losing, it's like it's a terrible addiction to a degree.
sure.
But yeah, so the biggest things were um, I didn't have I didn't realize that I could do it. Not that I was doing too much for one thing, but I also didn't realize I could trust myself. I always thought everybody else knew better than me. I just like well, I'll follow this person, I'll follow that person, not realizing that you know, I'm a smart person. I can figure things out. I've got, I'm start learning that I can trust myself, learning that all my experience through life can be applied towards this. I can, read a book. I can talk to somebody. I can absorb that information. I can digest it. I can use that to create an educated um, guess, a smart business decision on my own. I mean, using all the resources available to you, but trusting yourself to be that person, to be that leader, and to be, the 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 prime decision maker for this business. That was a big part, and I think that certainly came from you guys, like having these conversations, having and understanding that because you guys don't just answer questions for us. You don't just be like, hey, you should do this, and then we do that. It's like it's conversation. It's letting us come to that decision, letting us come to that result, and then make that decision for ourselves, and then we run with it as much as we can, or once we see that there's runway ahead of us. Um, I think that, and then yeah, the team. Your team is. I've known this forever, but your team is the most valuable thing you have, and that was for me at that time. It was my biggest detriment. So it
Yeah.
was. Um, the question was, is the pain and struggle of disbanding that team and exiting partners and all that, is it going to be worth it? My gamble was yes, and that was the result, that it
Yeah.
was worth it. But
And obviously,
it's
in that, I
rough.
mean, I know there's some pain in there. Obviously, it's like a breakup with anybody. Obviously, there's some friendships, there's some that are probably not where they used to be, and things like that. And you got to have some tough conversations. And we've all I've been there. I had my previous prior to Dan being my partner, I shared a space with another guy, and it was like I had outstayed my welcome. He basically told me I had to get the hell out and stuff like that. And it was some tough conversations, right? And I've seen a lot of that. So I think like you mentioned your team being the greatest asset that you have. Do you feel like you fell into which I see a lot of gym owners do this in the business of strength or within the workshops that we run and stuff like that, where you got a group of friends who like working out. It's like, let's open up a gym. And it's like, and they charge forward on passion and ideas, and you're a natural creative too, so there's no shortage of ideas, right? And so I think like, everybody's riding this high, and they forget one of the most important key components is who's actually fucking doing the work. and doing the things, right? And it's like, what does the day to day look like? Have we extrapolated this high of like, hey, we're going to open up a gym, everybody. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have this fun space. And it's like, all right, well, who's training? Who's running the books? Who's managing the marketing? What does that look like? Like, how many hours a day is it? All right, great. You're doing the marketing. Great. So, what's that, 4 hours a day you're going to spend on marketing, or is it 4 hours a week? Like, what does that look like? What is in a sense, the KPI, the key performance indicator behind that person's role and responsibility. And I'm not throwing you under the bus because we did the same exact shit. It was just, when it was me and when I partnered with Dan, it was just two dudes training. When we brought in Mike as our intern, it was just three dudes training. There wasn't an improvement in the business. There was just an improvement in our output. But I would say like the difference between your business and mine at that point is that those guys were young, and I'll jokingly say stupid, but they're obviously, we know that they're not stupid at all, but they were stupid minded in the sense that they had no other options, they had no other career goals and aspirations or opportunities, and it was like, all right, I'm either gonna go work 40, 50 hours a week with Joe, or I got to go, I'm going to go back to, like Dan's case, he was delivering Chinese food and shit. It was like, I'm going to go back to delivering Chinese food, So where you had a situation where you had people that had other jobs, they had other careers, they were training people, they were doing other things, they had their own book of clients or whatever. So there was a lot of scattered focus and a lot of scattered energy.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of opinions. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people have great ideas, and it got to a certain point. Yeah, we just basically said, "It's like, hey, if you can't do the idea that you have, then we don't want to hear about it." Honestly, it's like these could there's too many things flying around. We need to focus. We need to,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
there was a handful. Like just really just a few of us that were actual doers, and identifying doers is incredibly important. And that
Yeah.
later, as I started working with you guys, and we started identifying some talent within our organization. It's really cautiously, but brought some people in that were within my group, within my circle, that I
Hmm.
thought were doers, had the passion, had the drive, and um, and being able to identify who those people are and give them, reward them for that energy and that passion, has really that's been the other biggest thing that's
Sure.
happened to turn the business around, is taking people from within and giving them the runway.
Real opportunity and ownership with a
For
real
sure.
career projection,
Yeah.
and like real,
Yeah.
and look, that comes with some real money too. But I'd rather, our philosophy. I'd rather pay less people really great, and yeah, they're going to work hard, but they're making great money, and they're invested, and they're creating, and they're passionate, and they're involved in what we're doing here. Like Mike is an integral part of the creative process. Adam, even our newest people. I got a guy, Tyler, who's only a couple weeks in. He's running a workshop tonight. He's helping me write a few training programs to go on the new website we're designing. And it's like that creativity, that ownership of something in the business gives them purpose, gives them a feeling of fulfillment, right? So it's different than just coming in, check out of your sessions and stuff like that. You really brought people into the business so that, someone like Val or whatever could say like, hey, I helped bring that to life. I was a part of that. Right. And that's really important. So, the business, I always gave you a lot of credit, Joel. When Dan and I would have our conversations, when you started working with us, you primarily work with Dan as your primary coach, right? But we take calls regularly. And one of the things that Dan and I, we always do a call review every 2 weeks. Dan, myself, and Adam, we talk about like our client reviews. And when you come up, it was always like, man, I really give Joel. Dan said to me something that I thought was really profound. He's like, man, I give this guy a lot of credit because he knows that there's a daunting task in front of him, and that the business isn't going to change overnight, but he has, and I see such a mental shift in his mindset. And what was that point where you just made up your mind like, hey, I'm going to keep this thing. It's my baby. In a sense, you were the de facto leader of the Whack Pack group that you had going at that time, and I'm going to burn the ships here and make this goddamn thing work. And and what was that mental shift? What made you? Because you do have a successful career and you had another thing going, and it's like, why, why did you decide to keep this thing going, and what kept you from just saying, fuck it, I'll just take my losses and go back to you know graphic
Yeah.
design, marketing design,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. What it was is talking with Dan, talking with you. uh, realizing that, like, you guys you're smart guys. But you're not superhuman. I can also be at that level. I can think, in that way,
Hmm.
and starting that just a little bit of the wheel turning in that direction where it's like, okay, this is a attainable goal. This is something I feel like I can do. The other part was I was, okay, if we close down now, I'm gonna get 300 emails from people being like, what happened? And I don't want to, I don't, I, my gut and heart is I couldn't take that and be like, I failed,
I quit.
like
Yeah, I quit.
yeah, or I didn't work hard enough. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that it's odd. I mean, to just be motivated by the fear of that negative future. But that's certainly part of it. And but the biggest part of it is realizing that it's attainable, realizing that
Yeah.
I have that ability, and also making that, and then at that point making that decision. It's like
Right.
I'm the guy. I'm going to be the guy. There's
I think
nobody
that,
else.
look, I think like, again, I don't want to be like, tooting our horn like we're something special here, but I think that's what makes us special is that we don't think we're special. And I think one of the perspectives that I think we give other gym owners, and you've heard me say it many times at workshop, is like if two dipshits from Jersey can do it, you guys could do it. Like I mean, I don't have some Rhodes Scholar, education. I never took a business or sales or marketing class in my life until I was 3 or 4 years into owning a gym, right? 2010, I opened a gym in '06. So 4 years into opening a gym was the first time I picked up a business book or had anything, not even a sentence in the realm of business pass my way, right? And so I always look at it like, man, if we could do it, and I think that when you join a group like ours, there's 20 other people with almost the identical story, and you're like, all right, like maybe I'm not so bad off. I
Yeah, totally.
look, and you're great at marketing, you're great at creative, you're great at design, you're great at writing copy and stuff like that. So you had skills that translate well to the gym business before that in your professional career too. So it wasn't like, you were fit and loved to train. That's just your personal passion. But B, you actually had a skill that did help you translate and help you grow the gym once you decided that this was going to be the thing and I'm going to do this thing.
For sure, for sure. And then also just like learning leadership along the way as well.
Yeah.
And leadership applies across any industry. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be, it's not industry agnostic, but yeah, I think one of the coolest things is yeah, seeing you guys, seeing your struggle that you've been through. Paralleling that with mine, understanding, okay, it's different, but it's just as, it was just as dark at a time,
Hmm.
and and then and then seeing that, and that's great about the Strongest Year program, is sharing. You're seeing these other people have these stories. We have these seminars, and all these people are talking about this and that. And like, that's nothing. We can solve that in a day. Um,
Yeah.
but people get stuck on it, and that's easy. But showing them the shorthand, it's like, and not you don't want to just solve the problem for them, but hey, that's I was there. I did this. Maybe something like that would help for you. And
Right.
it's like the mentorship that you guys give as a team also exists within the group between
Hmm.
the other team members. So
Between the
I've had
coaches and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, Connor shared like an amazing document that we ended
Yep.
up building a whole program based on the 6WT document that was super powerful. But him willing to just give that away.
To
I mean, you
everybody.
guys
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
tons of things away. Derek, these are all former Gym of the Year winners,
Yep.
but
Yep.
Derek spending time having a call talking to Vin and I about um, Train Heroic and how it's being used within his gym, and
Uh,
just like these are people that are, I mean, they're paying to be part of like a business, like a collective of gyms, and but they are willing to take time out of their day to
yeah.
spend with me. Who I'm not paying them anything. We're in it
Yeah.
together,
We're
and that group is
cohorts.
super
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
super powerful. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of a great mastermind though, because I feel like again, like our job, Dan, myself, and Adam, is really to just help kind of direct and lead and keep the train moving in a positive direction. But the more engaged the community is, the more everybody gets out of it. And I look at it from the other side of that. If I can help teach other gym owners something that I'm doing in my gym, I inherently improve that aspect of my business tenfold because if I'm gonna do a call with Joel and he wants to review all of our 6WT stuff, I'm probably gonna get it together, professionalize it, take a deep dive look at it. It's like, oh, we could probably fix a few things here and do this, right? And I'm gonna make sure that I'm giving him the best thing that I can give him. So I think that when that reciprocal nation action of like giving and getting is the real gold in any mastermind group if you have an active community, which we do. Let me ask you a couple questions about numbers and things like that. So specifically, revenue. Obviously, you were losing money in 2021 when you came in. What do things look like now? Give us the basics on gym number one and where you're at with gym number two, and then we'll talk about some frameworks and leadership and
Sure.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we were making less than $100,000 a year in 2022, and yeah, that was we were the bills were maybe I don't know 110,000. So we're like you're losing about 15 grand a year, which is like just over 1,000 a month. And I mean, we can go through year by year. I have the numbers in my mind, but yeah, it was kind of like a bit of a bit of a stutter start. We started working with you. We need to change some things. We need to you can't just like
Revamp the
move
products, the prices, the
exactly.
schedules. Yeah.
So it does take a little bit to kind of get there, but like some significant, look at the prices, understand that the value of what you have, look at the space, how are you using it? What's your, cost per square foot? What can we do to utilize space
Capacity,
during
stuff like that. Yep.
capacity? Absolutely. So all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, so I'd say like, the first year doesn't really, 6 months doesn't really count as in we made more profit. We became not losing money within 6 months.
That's
Great.
positive.
That's always feels good.
You don't have
And
to go
that's
back to your wife and family like, I got to put more money into this damn business, this pet project of mine.
you don't tell her that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely did put some serious money of my own into it, but she understands the passion that was behind it. So it's great to have that support from the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, year after year, I think it ends up we're okay. Let's just jump to our projected 2025. We're sitting at so we're making less than $100,000 2022. 2025 we're projected at 900,000 plus for total revenue for the year. Our expenses have dramatically increased. That's both gyms. That's kind of putting everything together.
Yep.
But expenses have increased dramatically. So we're not like our expenses used to be $100,000 or 110. Now they're
That's
more
good.
like
Yeah.
$400,000. But we're sitting at almost 900,
Yeah.
450 somewhere. So dramatic increase in revenue, dramatic increase in expenses, but the ratio is far,
Right. Right.
into the positive.
Profitability is way up, but obviously
Absolutely.
now you're actually making some money. Now you can go and be like, I told you this shit was gonna work.
Yeah, I'm at a cottage right now, outside of Toronto, and the gym's running. I don't,
Yeah.
that wasn't possible 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That
That's
I
amazing.
mean, maybe it was, but I didn't feel like I could let it go.
So specifically within the frameworks of the business of strength, marketing, leadership, sales, thinking about the different key components of the business, what were some of the big like frameworks and or ideas that you got from us that really helped transform? You mentioned leadership a bunch of times. Obviously, everybody throws like kind of like a catchphrase on that, but like what frameworks within that really made those things come to life? Like what were some of the big ideas from us that really helped transform the business?
I mean, yeah, the big thing is roles. Like, make sure
The
you clearly
accountability
define
chart,
roles,
roles,
accountability
duties,
charts.
responsibility.
Yeah, what can we do? What do we have at our fingertips as far as like what's available to us? Spending money to make money, looking at revenues coming in. Do we put it in our pocket, or is there, you don't always want to be putting all the money back into the business. However, there are times where you have to think about it. What's the advantage of that? Certainly I put more money into people than into anything myself for
Mm-hmm.
myself. So that's growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's buying their time, looking at how much can I afford? Can I buy more of this person's time away from that other job they do? Or
Mm-hmm.
do I want them to do more of this? They seem to be really good at this skill. Can we shift where all the revenues coming from, and maybe they do a little less class coaching, and maybe they do a little more community building, or vice versa. So just being smart about, like where to use and a little bit of money can go a long way. So I mean, the biggest
Yeah.
marketing, that was a huge one. We didn't have any money, and we decided, okay, let's spend $2,000 a month for the next 3 months on marketing, and we'll never look back on that. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it, and everybody says that. Oh, you go to all these retreats, they're like, oh, I can't spend that on marketing. I was like, oh, you can't not spend that on
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
That's what comes down to. Do you want to keep having that, like your heart just like, just being squeezed, or do you want to be able to breathe a bit? And
Yeah.
that was the most significant, biggest difference is, yeah, just actually,
Coming up with a real marketing budget and a
marketing plan.
focus for a marketing plan, a budget, what the plan was going to look like, a combination of digital ads, social media. Talk to me about some of those big marketing. Now, this year and last year, you had some killer marketing campaigns that we all benefited from, and you helped us with a couple things, and we had a few really great creative calls with some of the things. What were what are some of the big marketing levers that you pulled in the last, let's call it, year to 18 months? And like,
Yeah.
what's really been some of the marquee events that now you will look at, like building into the cycle for years to come?
Yeah, some of our most significant stuff. So you have to kind of figure out what's your focus now. Do you need to make money right now, this month or next month, or are you more interested in
Like
growth
Future Bank? Yeah.
overall? Exactly. Yeah. So that's where kind of like how we divide our marketing, um, our marketing kind of up, and our goals. And the way that works is, so are we generating leads, or we want to get more people, and then therefore we have more email addresses to harass with all of our marketing, or are we trying to sell something to someone or build trust in someone? So maybe we want to give them a really good promo up front that maybe, hopefully we can retain them, and then they'll become like a ongoing monthly member every, they're paying that monthly fee every month.
Hmm.
And so the biggest things for us for lead generation has been uh, 5 for 25. Like, I mean, that one, and our sweepstakes. So, but that 5 for 25 is like, we're selling 5 classes for $25. You can't beat that's $5 a class. And really, what that does is it gets people that are maybe sitting on the edge of your social media, maybe on your email list, but they haven't really bought anything from you, and they're just like, well, $25, like I'll throw that in. But especially on the Instagram or your social media, or just in general in your digital marketing, $25. I'll pay somebody. I'll pay somebody. They don't have to pay me. I'll pay them $25 to get their email address. So
Yeah.
them paying me, and they get to come to our classes. You also kind of look at your capacity. It's like, well, you have some classes that they're not that full. You could just give them away for free. Just send things out, and so lead generation. That's like number one. Sweepstakes, just like doing a prize, telling people you have like, a bunch of different things you're giving away, cash, this and that,
Yeah. A couple
and
months membership or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and you have that. That is free for you to a degree. I
Hmm.
mean, you can give something away that has incredible value to someone else, and means nothing to your bottom line. You're running those
Yes.
classes anyway.
Yes.
So what are things like that cost you zero, and have incredible value? Then you become the trusted
Yes.
source. Then they become loyal to you because you did something really nice for them. You gave them something of
Yes.
incredible value for nothing, and yeah, and you just sort of give away as much of that as possible. And really, if you have 300, 400 people that submit to try to get these prizes, I'll give them all something. Yeah, you have the big
Yeah.
prizes, but everybody gets something.
Yeah. It's
Don't
great.
don't tell everybody, but everybody gets something. Everybody wins. Um, yeah,
Participation trophy.
yeah, absolutely. But it's whatever it takes to get them a good
Sure.
impression, give them
Sure.
something for free.
And specifically speaking about like specific campaigns, what were some of the big ones? I know you mentioned the 6 week transformation earlier.
That's right.
How'd that go for you?
Yeah, our first 6 week transformation was big. It was it's there's you got to have a good runway for your marketing on that. People are, they're spending a significant chunk of cash to be part of it, but the value is there, and so really trying to, testimonials, things like that, to kind of highlight that. But our conversion, like from external clients, give them something that like of incredible value up front, and they're just they not only they feel like they owe you, but they feel like they're part of
Yeah.
your community, and it's an instant buy-in, and the conversion rate should be incredibly high for them to become like a monthly paying member.
Oh, for
But
sure, sure. I
yeah.
mean, it's been our best product for, 14 years, and it's only getting better. And I feel like we've added some tweaks and some tools and some digital behind it with the CRM. I just got off the phone with Ignite. I know you've been working with them a little
Mhm.
bit too, and it's like, those things have helped streamline programs like that because now, um, it's hard to forget like the little nuances, right? Oh shit, did we schedule these people for their week 2 check-in? Did we send out the Zoom links for our nutrition meetup, right? All those things can be automated now. So, it makes things a little bit easier on the gym owner to focus on the quality of service, customer service, the community and things like that. And you're not always running back to your phone or your email to like remember to send shit out all the time. So
Yeah, power of technology. I mean, that's everything. Scheduling, planning, doing a little bit of work now, and just having it execute is amazing. Like that's again another reason why I can be sitting here at a cottage because there's marketing
yeah.
happening that's going out from my email address
Yeah,
right now.
I mean, I'm done with our marketing pretty much like through September, through our 6-week transformation marketing. And it's like if I did nothing, I would never do that because that's not my nature. But if I did nothing from now till October, we'd probably be just fine. There'd be nothing that has
Right.
to go out. All the marketing is set up, the emails are set, the plan is set with our agencies, and it's like, all right, great, we're rolling. Joe's taking a 6-week vacation. Smell you later. But
I think that that could be really daunting though, as a like somebody who doesn't know if you haven't done it before. Like once you do it
yeah,
once, oh, it's now it's easy. But not
yes.
doing it, having not done it that first time, it's very like, oh my God, that's so much work. It sounds like Joe makes it sound easy, but it's like this and this and this and this and this. And like, yeah.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
the versioning of that.
business is like bench pressing, right? And the analogy that I'll give you is that, if once you've bench pressed 225, 135 is kind of always easy, right? And the benchmark or the fear and the trepidation of benching 135 is completely gone because you've gone to another point and now you could do that weight and you could lift that weight and you'll probably somebody who's bench press 315 looks at 225 the same way. It's like and so forth. So business is the same way. When you were doing, you know, 2 social media posts a week and 1 email a month, it was a lot of work, and and Parkinson's law says we were waiting until the last minute to get it all done, right? And we were utilizing the time frame to get those things done. And then you go to 2 emails and 3 and 4, and then a whole campaign, and the business goes from 100K to 500K to a million, right? I look at this business now, what we do now, and it was like, well, there's no possible way ever that we couldn't not do $1 million in business in this gym anymore. That's like that, like that's just not even, it's not even like if we went back to a million, it would actually be a disaster at this point. Like it would be like
Yeah,
sliding,
there's that.
a disaster. So the reality is like that a million is like a joke. And it's not, I don't say that lightly because there's lots of gyms who are like, that's the golden goose, right? You got a $250,000 gym. You want to get to a million, great. But I think it's all perspective, right? Like as your marketing processes and your sales processes and your revenue processes have scaled, when you look back at those things, it's like, oh, well, it's just perspective. The perspective that you need to run $1 million business is different than the perspective you need to run a $500,000 business. And it really just like time under tension, just like the bench press, right? You got to get your strength up. You got to get your skills up. You got to find what you've done is like, hey, let me identify my blind spots where I'm lacking some skills and ability and not seeing some things, and maybe that was leadership in terms of accountability charts, roles and responsibilities, specific KPIs for each employee. Meeting pulse schedule I know was a big one. Just getting on a real consistent meeting and like communication schedule with your team was a big one. Having those critical conversations built into your quarterly or yearly review processes and stuff like that. Like how does Vin know that she's exceeding the expectation on a regular basis? Well, that only comes if you're having regular poignant meetings that cover a certain type of material. And it's kind of repetitive in nature, but repetition is what gets repeated, right? So if we review let's call it 10 key metrics and client headlines and a great segue in every weekly meeting, well, those things are going to grow, right? Because we're focused on them. And I think those are some of the, like, when we say leadership, I think people like, oh, Joe's a great leader or Dan's a great leader. It's like, no, what I don't know if I'm a great leader, like if we went to war, if I'm going to lead a men into like, battle or nothing like that. But I think like what I'm good at is being consistent and maintaining a consistent heartbeat on the business. So whether that's for my role, it's the marketing and sales. For Dan's role, it's actually the client, the employee communication. If they're all over the place, well, the employees are all over the place. And then if you and the employees are all over the place, well, the business is all over the place, right? And I could imagine now. How do you feel now that you have streamlined operations, a great marketing calendar and marketing plan, like a yearly marketing plan? You got great. You hired, developed, and retained great employees. You have a few really good employees who've you brought to a lot of workshops and events with us, or have had one-off calls with me or Dan themselves, right? How do you feel like the quality of the product and the customer experience has improved due to the business being run better?
Oh, well, I mean, that's, I don't know if it's exactly night and day. Like it's just, it's almost like, I almost can't imagine doing it any other way. But what the biggest thing is, it's exactly what you said. It's consistent. It's the same. It's what we designed it to be a certain way, and now we just follow that path and we carry out that execution, that plan. So, and having also other people that kind of keeps eyes on things. So if we do deviate at all, we've got a few other people that are, in the group at this gym where we can see if something is it deviating? Is there an opportunity for improvement? Can we reflect on this? Do we need to change this? Do we need, there's multiple eyes of qualified individuals looking at that one thing and making sure that we don't fall. We don't falter. But I wanted to bring something specifically to an analogy you brought, which is like that bench pressing analogy, and it's almost the same analogy except that it's we used to lift. We were doing like Olympic lifting, and it's a big challenge to get over 225 pounds for your like snatch or something, and it'd be funny. You'd be training in a group of guys. Everybody trains every day. You're there doing the whole thing, whatever, and nobody can get over this certain number. And then one person does. One person does it, and then everybody does. And
Yes.
it's like, and that's what the
Yes.
strongest year program is, and that's what you guys are kind of showing. It's like, no, this is possible. And you see you do it, you see somebody else do it in the group, and then it's like, oh, I can do it.
One of my favorite videos ever that you might have seen is a YouTube video of CT Fletcher giving a lecture, and he's actually dressed in like a collared shirt and not swearing as much as he normally does. And he talks about, Roger Bannister, the first person to break the 4 minute mile, and he's like it is impossible until some crazy motherfucker has the audacity to go out there, despite what the doctors, the coaches, his friends and family have to say about him, and say to himself, I can still do that shit, and go out there and fucking do it. And then now, like a 4 minute mile, anybody who's an Olympic runner runs a 4 minute mile, right? And it's like that just became the standard at that point. And that's kind of what you're saying is like, hey, and that's why, having great training partners is the key to achieving greatness in the gym setting. Having great employees and partners is the key in business, right? Talk specifically about, I know Vincenza's like
Yeah.
she's your right hand woman, and kind
Yes.
of has been there in a sense through this process with you. Talk to me about her career, her what she does, career trajectory, and how you visualize like, you know, the future for your employees and so forth, and really what that looks like.
Yeah. So we're at a different stage in our business than Varsity House is.
Hmm.
You have a bunch of full time employees. We really, we have two, just me and Vin, and a lot of contracted employees. But with Vin, she was in the space. She was one of our trainers. So, I knew her. I didn't know her terribly well, but I knew you see that passion. You see like she's got drive. She working hard, that kind of thing. Understands things. You don't have to explain anything to her. You just have a conversation, and we're way beyond that now. We basically just finish each other's sentences, which is amazing. Yeah, and so identifying her as somebody had potential, and then having that conversation, asking her, would you like this opportunity? We see this kind of path for you. So outlining is incredibly important, to outline like what is possible and what timeline. Um, Maybe tying specific goals for her to, or benchmarks for her to revenue. So you can see like, if you can do this, if you can accomplish this, then you can make this much more money, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But we looked at, for her, it was a ton of different buckets. We had about 4 or 5 different buckets where she generates revenue for herself. Part of it is being a general manager, part of it is being a training director, part of it is being a personal trainer. For her own clients that she brings in from the outside, which we don't so much do anymore. But and then part of it's being a personal trainer for us, for our clients, and then part of it is coaching classes, and then coaching the trainers. So it's like 5 or 6 different buckets there. They all have their own individual, number kind of associated with them, and they're all tracked, and we have an idea, and we can kind of push and
Mm-hmm.
pull those things to, see whether it's her appetite for, like, what does she want, or what does the
Mm-hmm.
business need. We can kind of push and pull those things. And recently I saw an opportunity. She's really happy to be here. We're incredibly happy to have her. And we saw an opportunity to offer her stake in the business. So as we opened the second location, we were able to create a buy-in for her to become an owner. And
That's
to
amazing.
me, it's great for her. But for me,
Oh, that's
it's like, I
amazing.
feel like it's almost like selfish. I'm like, no, now you're
I
in it with
got you.
me.
You
Yeah.
got you
Now
trapped now.
you're gonna see how bad it really is.
You
Uh,
sucker.
no, but the comfort level that comes with not
Yeah,
being, like, that person sitting there by yourself, having somebody else and she was always there. She's like, what
yeah,
she's doing hasn't really changed, but psychologically for her and psychologically
sure,
for me, that
sure.
investment and that is like, we're in it together. And if this place doesn't work, if it works for us, and that's
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that now twice, right? I mean, obviously bringing Dan in as my first partner, now the business was a very different space, but obviously when somebody puts up some money or some time or energy, and even just the title, right? Like having the title of owner and being able to tell people that you own something, there's a sense of pride, confidence, and that's associated with that, right? And I've seen the give a shit factor that we talk about go way up, right? Like obviously, when Dan came in, as an owner, that was a different Dan than Dan who was just helping me do camps and clinics and bring some kids to the gym. That was a different human. Right now, I own this thing. I put real skin in the game, and I basically, the other side of this is now I'm acknowledging that I'm passing up on a lot of other opportunities to make this thing work, right? And now, so since burning the bridges on maybe the back of your hard drive in your brain space where it's like, well, I could go sell insurance. I could, Dan's, he was young at that time. He was in maybe a different spot than Vin was, but it's like also like, maybe I'm going to go into finance. Maybe I'm going to go get a job selling, medical device or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm going to partner up with Joe. I'm going to put some money into this thing. And all that shit dies today. That's one. And I've seen the same thing with Adam when Adam came in as a partner to the studios, right? It's like his output tripled, right? And I don't know if you saw the email that I put out yesterday. I kind of put out
yeah,
like a joking email about Big Mike leaving. But the
yeah.
only place Big Mike's ever leaving is for vacation. I would never let that guy walk. And selfishly because I love him as a human, but I also know that it's my obligation as the business leader here to make sure that people like Mike never leave, right? I think
Mhm.
like you have to realize that, there are a few people sometimes in the training business. The training business is different than a lot of other businesses that are either tech based or like, this is a true service business where you are in front of other humans all day, every day. And the product is literally speaking to another human for an hour at a time multiple times a week, and some people become attached to those human interactions, and I think our business would really take a hit. I think we'd survive and we'd probably we'd probably keep moving, but we would be in a bad spot for a bad period of time if Mike left. And you have to realize what his value is to the team, the people, and put it in. And I think like Vin's obviously shown you that I'm committed. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to improve my skills, right? Whatever I don't know, I'll go out and try and figure it out, and we'll get those skills and we'll bring them back to Stay Gold together. And when you hire your next full-time employee, it's like, all right, great. Now we have a blueprint in a sense of, what we call intern all-star. It's like, oh, great. I have this blueprint of how I got Vin from a part-time session coach to a GM
An owner.
owner. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, come on,
It's
that's talk about a sales pitch for employment too. It's like, because it kind of is the golden goose. A lot of, you get some 23-year-old fresh out of college with an exercise science degree, and they're like, so am I going to make some money? Is this going to be a real business? They go, well, hey, I got an employee here that went literally from doing a couple classes a week to now a part owner and is my GM and right hand person, and the same on our end. So that's a really and how good does that feel personally? You know what I mean? That you not only are you making money and you turn this business around, but you gave somebody else, you changed somebody else's life in the process.
yeah, it's two things that I mean, she wrote me a card last year, and it's just basically thanking me for the opportunity. And I'm kind of like, I mean, you saved my life, really. Like it's
Yeah,
like we have this codependent relationship, but
it's awesome.
it's such a compliment, like to that somebody. I mean, not just that they're willing to let me pay them, like that. Most people would be fine with that, but they're banking on me. They're betting on me. Like she
Yeah,
quit another job to come and be part of Stay
yeah,
Gold, and I mean, come on, like that's she put her money on me, and
yeah, yeah.
I don't take that lightly.
No, I don't take that shit lightly at all either. And Dan and I have conversations all the time about the money Adam put in to be part of this, the time and energy that Mike has put in. And it's like, yo, man, like I said, I have an obligation to pay that back with opportunity. That is my role. That is the role of the owner and the business leader, is to where can I provide more opportunity for my team so that I can have a dozen people here that have lifelong careers in strength and conditioning at a job and a passion that they love, right? And that's kind of the golden goose of the gym industry. And I think everybody has the ability to get there. It's like you said, it's being consistently diligent and doing the thing. And probably I would say, like, you started off with a little bit more business and like tech and marketing acumen than most of the gym owners that we work with, right? You were a little bit older, so a little bit more mature in the business space, one, and two, you had a more of a business career and education than like the typical exercise science meathead that's graduating just wants to be a great coach, right? And never, like myself, right? So so I think, like, what's your take on it? Again, this is a gratuitous plug, maybe. I don't want it to come off like that, but what's your take on the need of gym owners to learn how to run business, to get help, to educate themselves, to join master, whether it's our group or another, or going to workshops? Like, how important has that been for you? And again, when you look at the future of Stay Gold, is it going to continue to be a part of that? Obviously, in some way, shape, or form, where business education is a key component of the growth of the business.
I mean, why would you think you could run a small business without understanding anything about business? But I do see it all the time. I see
Right.
constantly. I'm going to a coffee shop or this and that. I like message them because I'm, hey, we do a partnership or something like that, and I never hear back from them. Like, what is? I'm offering you like just free clients, just
Yeah. Yeah, there's some bad business people out there for sure.
uh, but but yeah, like the the education around things. It's you start with whatever your skill set is, and you can have a variety of. I had a different skill set, like you said, coming in, and uh, yeah, it's you look at what you got. What do you what? Where are your holes? Um, and then working with a group like this to figure out, um, what can we do with what can we do what can we do to fill those things, what do you want your life and career to be within your own space, your own gym, and then um, uh, what's actually realistic, what's possible. So sometimes it's like, you might have to do the things you don't necessarily want to do in the early years, but maybe you can construct the career or role that you want later. So for me, even though I had training background and certifications, it's like my role shifted. I'm an owner, administrator, operator, head of marketing. I don't I don't I'm not training individuals. I have abilities, understanding, and skill, and I certainly like help to curate what that experience is for people. But it seemed like the better use of my time was more on the back end than the front side, and that's where
Sure.
Vin came in. So I'd say most people coming into the business of strength will be almost the opposite. Will probably
Right.
be,
Owner operator. Yeah.
yeah, they'll be the
Or
head
owner
trainer.
product. Yeah. Owner, head trainer, coach,
Yeah,
head coach.
but
Yeah.
we've also seen some really interesting things within the group. Certainly with I think, yeah, especially with Derek's team, is him stepping away from being that prime number one trainer and working more in the back end and then the benefits of that. And
Yep.
maybe that's what's also very interesting about understanding business is that, especially a small business, you don't have to do the same role forever. You guys have switched roles a bunch of times over the years, whether
Yes.
to keep things interesting, whether it's to, harness the bandwidth.
Yep.
There's many different reasons for that, but you would never know that that's even possible. You would never understand how to delegate, how to be efficient with the resources that you have without having some understanding of business and maybe having somebody else come in and reflect on your business from, the bird's eye view that business strength does.
You get like anything, you kind of get humans are creatures of habit, and change is bad for most humans, right? So you get in a rut of doing whatever it is that you do. And then I talk to a lot of gym owners, and I'm like, why do you do it like that? That's kind of like ass backwards. And like, it's just always how we did it. And it's like that's a very common response to why people smoke. It's a common, why they go to the bar every Friday, why they, it isn't all these habits that people have, good and bad, they form over a repetitive nature in time, and it takes a special person to be able to look down at their own life and say, "Oh, I see these, or I can see all these patterns now." Most people can't because they're in it. And like then you hire a coach like me, and we break down your marketing, we break down your meeting schedule, we break down your roles and duties, and I'm like, Joel, this is a fucking disaster here. These are some really bad habits you got built up here. And it's like, oh, I didn't even realize that. And it's like, because you're just swamped in it. And then look, here's the truth of it, right? Like you got to go home to your family. You got to go home and do stuff. Like you at the time when you started Stay Gold, you still had a whole nother career too. So it was like there's a lot of other things happening, right? So it's like I don't have time to sit there and like visualize all my missteps and like habits and things and where am I going to make all these changes. So you just keep doing it, right? And you just keep kicking the can, kicking the can, kicking the can. Well, we got past all the bad. We got the revenue moving. We decided to open up another gym. Talk to me about the second gym. What was the, anticipus there? What gave you the, let's call it the balls to do that and take that shot? And how's that going?
Yeah. Well, it was, in the back of my mind, it was like, that'd be a dream to, have more than one of these things, maybe more than two. You never know, at some point. But yeah, there was an opportunity that kind of came up. I saw a space that I really liked. I thought the location was really good. Um, but this is not the timeline that I was planning. I was planning, a year or two in the future before doing this. Um, but I just sort of, the like the price of the lease and the potential growth and the how the even with like getting financing in order to buy equipment because we didn't have that like cash flow at the moment, like looking into alternative forms of how to fund this thing. It all it the math worked out. It like barely worked out, but but it worked out. I'm like, okay, I kind of, yeah, okay. And if I basically, just sit there and put my head down and, just do most of the work myself, which is what I'm used to doing. So to build the space myself, I had a few other friends that are quite generous with their time. And, yeah, it was just, it was an opportunity I felt like I couldn't give up. But I knew that the sacrifice that it was going to be at least a short-term sacrifice, hopefully not a long-term sacrifice, obviously. But yeah, it was, I don't think only like 4 months from ideation to getting our keys, and then I just 40 days from that to open. Like it was pretty
That's
remarkable
great.
there every day,
That
every
is.
single day. I just put on the same clothes every day, the dirtiest clothes, because what's the point? Nobody's gonna see me. I'm just, and brought my dog, and I went to the gym, and we just grabbed a hammer and
Yeah.
just started banging things out.
Sick.
And it's very satisfying, obviously. But the other thing that's very interesting about that, and I know it's a little sidetrack, but is I've been training at my own gym, doing the programming that Vin and I design, and that's how I do my training. I take my own medicine, uh, and I guarantee that if I hadn't been doing that training, the training that we reproduce, the quality that we produce, I would never been able to actually build this space. It was I didn't go to I didn't train during that time, but I knew like my endurance, my strength, power,
Sure.
my endurance. It was all due to the training in my own space. So it was actually this perfect application of it's like of all the work that had been put in
Yeah.
creating the space, working out of the space, training, all the thought and process, and then I was like, okay, I'm applying it directly to building a second one. And yeah, we launched. We followed some great advice from you guys by doing some pre-launch sales, doing um, pre-opening, basically selling memberships for a certain discount, like a founding 40 deal. So first 40
Hmm.
people that sign up get a great discount. They get a discount for life, if they stick with us, and do a big launch party, do, some
Right.
prizes, some celebrations, whatever you can
Bring your
basically
friends.
afford to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
all that
Guest
stuff.
workouts, all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And we were able to, open with, you know, not quite like enough to like cover the rent every month, but pretty close. And then it's just, the quality's there, and the location was right. All the decisions that were made as far as like whether we should do this in that location, they made sense. And we're in the summer. This is when memberships should be going down, and obviously we're going up. I mean, we're a new gym in the area, but
Right.
like that's I
That's still
expected
pretty awesome. Yeah, of
I
course.
expected the fall. Like I didn't expect to
Yeah.
break it even anywhere close to this. But yeah, a
That's
month and a
amazing.
half in, we're like in the black. Like obviously paying back loans and things like that, but being able to
Yeah.
handle
But
those payments.
your monthly nut is in the black in a sense. Like you're not
That's right.
the business is now turning a profit, and you can start turning some of those profits towards the repayment of the investment money that you put
That's
into
right.
it,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I mean, that
Yeah.
in less than 2 months, I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What that for context here for people, is this a kind of a carbon copy of the original gym, and where we have an open gym space, we have classes, and we have this small group personal training?
Yeah. It's we the format seemed to make a lot of sense. The great thing about yes, we have open gym classes, we have a sauna ice bath program, we have an indoor space, we have an outdoor space. It is the same thing. It's condensed a little bit, a little bit
A
different,
little bit of smaller space.
smaller space, but better in some ways.
Hmm.
So it kind of like balances out between the two, except for we're paying a third the rent in this location. So that, automatically jumps us up a few steps. And then, yeah, and the flexibility of having, so basically we have kind of like three different spaces. One of them is a open gym space, and then two class spaces, actually four spaces, so another outdoor space as well.
Right.
And that flexibility means that whatever line of business is doing the most, like this open gym just takes off, well, maybe we need more open gym space, so we actually can take over another one of those spaces that we thought would be for classrooms. My way of approaching almost any goal, any project in any way is to make sure I have an out. You make sure not like a complete checkout, but a pivot. Can I, if this and this happens, can I pivot and still be successful? At what
Hmm.
point do I want to look at these numbers and say, okay, let's do a shift. We can, if you're locked in to only one path, I mean, it creates makes a very clear path because that's the only way to go, because you have to just double down on that. However, I really enjoyed the ability to shift and change based on the information that's coming in, whether it's the clients or the numbers or revenue, all that kind of stuff. And that's incredibly valuable to me, and that's also like one of my what I feel like one of my greatest strengths is to be creative within the box that we create for ourselves. Is what can we do? What can we what how do we think about this thing differently? How do we shift and change? How do we address concerns in a way that we couldn't have anticipated when we opened? Let's say.
Right. Okay. Okay. I mean, that sounds amazing. And the um we gonna do a number three? What are we thinking?
I mean, based on
Once you
number
once you once
two,
you start the process, it's hard to, you kind of get bitten by the bug in a sense.
yeah, yeah. Like I see, I see like the Varsity House expansion. See, like, looking at what's your most profitable revenue line. How do we version that out? Um, Smaller spaces, less overhead, but we're capitalizing on the name and the brand and the quality of the product that's being put out. Um, yeah, I think so. I think that's probably in line in the next
Shit,
couple of years.
that's it. You're in it now, dude. That's it. Now
Yeah.
you're a real gym owner entrepreneur. Not no longer a gym guy, but a true gym business owner, right? And that's a cool thing. That's a cool place to be. You're a dangerous person when you have purpose, process, and people on your side. I got a quick little lightning round for you before we wrap up today,
All right.
Joel, just to give you a couple quick ones. And so, what's one book that you read this year that was super impactful? Favorite book that you've read in the past year or so?
I read a book called Barbarian Days, which is all about sort of
Cool.
the the it's life through the lens of surfing, which just it's just I mean, if you ever try to surf, to me it's like the most difficult thing in the world. But maybe I
Yeah.
don't live close enough to the ocean. Problem. But it's this man, the writer's life and the journey and the passion and the feeling that he gets through experiencing um and striving to reach for that that next wave, that perfect wave, and understanding getting older and how can't do this so much anymore, but it's still getting satisfaction in this way. And really, I found that pretty inspiring, and I feel like it can be applied to obviously not just surfing, but everything else.
Awesome. What's one tactic you use to stay personally motivated and use your time wisely, whether it's like a productivity hack or so? Like what's something that you do that really helps keep the ship moving?
I like to. I mean, to me, it's being in the space myself. So I like I said, I started work on the back end, but I really want to make sure that I'm there. I'm engaging with people and understanding the true product that's being put out there.
Mhm.
And experiencing the product. So being participating in the classes, being part of it, not as a owner, but as just like a client for the most
Right.
part. And that seems to give me a lot of perspective on what we're creating and what the feeling is in the room. Like, does it feel like everyone's working together? Does it feel like people are kind of being left out? Are we speaking in too many generalities and not truly identifying with the individual, or
Mhm.
that kind of thing?
I love that. And hold on here. I hit the wrong page. What's one thing if you could go back and do differently? What's something that you would do different?
Ooh, I think I probably sat back a little bit too much. I think I probably had the ability to do more earlier. I needed to trust and believe in myself more than more than uh, more than I did, and not that there's a lot of people around me. They're very smart people. Doesn't mean that their opinions are going to be more successful than yours or their ideas. It's ideas can come from anywhere, and I really think that everybody you take even their lowest level employee, give them a voice,
Mhm.
and that might save your business. You never know.
Oh yeah. You'd be super surprised at some of the ideas that have come out of people's mouths, right? When you give them the opportunity to speak, for sure. That's awesome. And last one, what in your opinion is the most or is the greatest benefit of your time in the business of strength? And what have you gotten? What has been the most impactful thing that you've gotten out of the group?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to the last question a bit. It's just it's talking with you guys, being realizing that we're not that different. We have different
Yeah.
experiences. We have different, but especially the drive, the passion, the ability to look at things and have it with a sense of humor. And
Hmm.
actually, let's look how crazy this is, or let's look back on the past and
Yeah.
and talk and laugh about how ridiculous it was that we approached things in that way, or how hard that was.
Yeah.
But no, the other part is really just um, seeing you guys do it and and seeing that's a potential for myself as well. that I can also do that thing, and
Great.
it's a bit of a no brainer because you're just like, okay, well, it's just like, oh, I'll just do what they do. Like, yeah, but it's a mental shift.
Yeah.
You shifted to being confident in that thing. I mean, having a bit of backup is always
Yeah, yeah,
helps.
yeah. Oh, look, I mean, look, part of the I think what and I steal stuff from all of you guys, right? That's part of the greatness of it. It's like, hey, like we put all of our marketing campaigns in the group for all of you to take. Obviously, nobody should just be copying and pasting them. But sometimes you're pressed for time. Sometimes a great idea comes out. I think Joe Pearson basically took our entire shred campaign and copied it almost verbatim, other than removing Varsity House and putting his gym name in there and stuff like that. And he's crushing it. And it's like, hey, great. If that helped alleviate some time, energy, and pressure from your team to have to, oh my God, that sounds like such an amazing idea, but we don't have the time and energy to create this marketing campaign, and we don't have the time and energy to put this whole thing together. And now I just give you a blueprint. That is the beauty of that. Is why you stay in groups like this. So we're super appreciative to your time, energy, and contribution, and we love the fact that you make the effort to come down, to go to workshops, to come to the retreat every year. You're looking forward to Arizona. Arizona's a fun time.
Yeah, it'll be great. I mean, the whole thing is like getting up before it gets too hot and try to get a run in. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna do a hike Wednesday. You guys got to make it out.
yeah,
I
I know,
last
I
year I
know.
threw it out for everybody. Not one person showed up. You bunch of bums. I hiked Camelback alone by myself. You know.
What time did you start?
I think we'll get out there. I mean that'll be Wednesday morning, so that's before the event. So when we get
Yeah,
out there, I usually like to get it. Because Camelback, it's literally like it's sticking out. It's a rock sticking out of the
right, right.
ground. So it gets super hot there. The sun beats right on
No,
it.
yeah,
So
but I think
you
you're like meeting up at like 4 a.m. or something like that, or you
no,
just
no, no, no.
ah,
I ain't that. No, like 6:30. You want to be
yeah,
at the trailhead by like 6:30,
yeah, that makes
something
sense.
like that. We could make that happen, I think.
Yeah,
We
I'll
could
be there. I'll be there.
All right, cool. We'll do it this year. So, hey, Teller, stay gold. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the work, the effort, the energy, and you are as deserving as anybody of this acknowledgement from your peers. You guys have done a great job. I'm excited to have you and Vin out with us again for the third year in a row in Arizona. And best of luck to you for Gym of the Year. Whether you win or not the actual award, Joel, you still won, man. You kicked ass, and I love seeing your business grow. And I love the time and effort you put into this group. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the other side, brother.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Let's
You
talk to
got
you
it,
later.
man.